Hey guys, Jason. Here recently there's been a lot of discussion about Bitcoin and the 51% attacks. This comes up every few months. Different pools seem to have a huge, hash rate, and it goes crazy. So this is going to be more of a little bit of fact-based, a little bit opinion-based video, and I kind of just want to put my input of what I think is going on and how I think we can solve it. So first I want to talk about a misconception that a lot of people have. So hash rates for total calculation of Bitcoin are calculated by pool hash rate. And we've talked about this before about the luckiness of a hash rate. So people, when they look at the 24-hour hash rate or the 8-hour hash rate, and they say, well, we were at 49%, but now we're down to 37, or now we're down to 32. Well, that's incorrect, because a 8 or 24-hour hash rate, and I think sometimes they use 12-hour hash rates as well, is very inaccurate. To get a general view, you always want to look at least a 3-day. I prefer the 7-day just because I feel like it's a very great at averaging what their average mega hash, or not mega hash, but average hash rate in their network to comparatively is. So when there's an issue like the 51% attack that's coming up, and say it went from 47 to 49 over a 2-week period, and let's assume that's a week average, so we know it's a linear growth and not just a random grouping of luckiness. Well, if that happens, then warning the community and switching off of that pool is highly advised. But if, say, we're at 37%, and tomorrow morning I wake up and I check, and it's at 48%, and everyone starts freaking out. Well, don't freak out, because that is just the fact that the pool that you are mining through, or that's most likely, or that you're monitoring, has just been extremely lucky, and it's happened. There have been times when certain pools back in the day used to have, they used to mine 4 or 5 blocks in a row, and the saying is, if you can do 6 blocks in a row, you basically can fake the network, or you can double spin coins. So it's happened before. We never had a double spin in Bitcoin, but we've had very close calls where it hasn't been utilized. So that's kind of fact based on how they do the monitoring and calculations of hash rate. But another issue you have to come up with is, why do people go to these pools when they already have such a large hash rate? And it's a very, very simple answer. Convenience, simplicity, and great ease of use. And those are all kind of the same thing, but they're different. So for myself, I mine, and when I go looking for it, I look for a few things. Now again, I mine script coins, but they're exactly the same pretty much, and how you choose a pool. You're going to look for a cheaper pool rate, so total percent that they take as like kind of a taxation thing. But there's also a counter to this. For instance, I pay a higher pool rate than other pools of the coin I mine, but because that coin, or that, not that coin, that pool has better features. For instance, a very great layout. The person that runs it is very helpful. They're always there if I have a question. If something goes down, they're getting that website back up within 10 minutes versus the alternative of being down for 12 hours or 8 hours or somewhere around that range. And so sometimes it makes sense to pay more in a taxation pool fee than it would to be on a cheaper pool and not get the benefits. Well, what happens are a lot of these bigger pools nowadays have really great features. For instance, on your smartphone, you can get on and see what your hash rate is. You can see if one of your miners shut down. It will actually send you a notification on your phone if one of your miners, or a GPU on your miner, or in script mine, or in ASIC mining, it's more of if a board goes down or something. Because I don't think anyone's using GPUs anymore to mine Bitcoin. But there's all these great features, and so a new beginner, someone that just went out and bought a board, or someone that has a small supply, is going to be using that. My alternative suggestion for the community is, come up with a way to make P2P pooling very efficient, very easy to use, easy to get around. And you might say, well, wait, P2P pooling is really, really awesome idea, but you can't make it really that nice. Well, you can. Just like anything, like Bitcoin, the client itself, the programming language is very simple. You can put stuff on top of it. There's various programs out there that people have tried to, for instance, Armory. They've tried to add on to the Bitcoin client. That's why I propose for P2P mining, or I mean not P2P, pool mining, is maybe let a corporation or a group of people run a service that makes it easier, obviously decentralized, but a system that makes it very easy for people to sign up to P2P pools, because people like me, we understand it. We can sign up for P2P pools, no problem, it's awesome. But those who, aren't as developed in their mining skills yet, which they will be, they go for the simplistic things. They go for the easy, the ease of use. And so that's my proposal for how to fix that issue. And lastly, the issue is education. On Bitcoin's Reddit feed, on the talk on Bitcoin forums, people always had this huge idea that, oh, it's a terrible thing. We got to be very, very, very worried. And yes, I believe we should be worried, but there's another issue at bay. One of the major issues that you have to think about is, why would you double spend? People never want to talk about this issue. So assume a pool who makes, some of these pools or trading, like, they make exceptionally good amount of money. I mean, we're talking, a lot of money. And some pools I've talked to that are on the low end are making $20,000 a month in pool fees. So I can't imagine what some of these big pools are making. They have to be making what we would consider bank, right? So if they're making that kind of money and then they own these pools and they manage them, what incentive do they have to basically, if they double spend Bitcoin, the community will know about it and the Bitcoin will stop being used. Well, then they lose out on their money. So what, they might be able to make a transaction, because most bigger transactions people wait on more than 6 confirmations. If you're sending over $10,000, you're checking for 12 confirmations, 24 confirmations. You want it to be a higher confirmation rate. So even if you double spend, you're gonna double spend maybe $10,000. Well, if you're making $100,000 a month, that doesn't make sense. So the only way that a pool would be kind of taken advantage of its users and of itself would be if the pool was hacked. And in that case, there should be systems in place to protect that. Again, I think, like, for instance, some of the bigger pools that have over 30%, it'd be great if you could have the pooling but have different sites. And now I know you might say, well, they could easily manage both, and create a double spend attack. But the economic factor that I just talked about would pretty much make that a non-existent issue. But what it would do is say the top pool gets hacked. Instead of having 50% or 40% of hash rate power, they only have 10%, because the other sites that we basically kind of like big companies have different divisions, and those are sometimes even their own entities. That's kind of what I'm referring to with these big mining corporations or mining pool sites. And if you do that, then great. If they get control of a website and control of a mining ability, they only have 10%. Where if they take control of it right now, they have 50%, which is a huge issue, and I can understand why the community is pretty upset about it. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I hope I informed you a little bit and gave you some opinions to think about.